Hello and welcome, loyal listeners, loyal viewers, whoever you are watching, listening on the internet people of all descriptions. It's great to have you here on the Brassbandcast podcast, a podcast about life, love, music, band, and food. It's great to have your company. Today we're joined by Fenella, and we have Robin here as well. Hi, Robin. Hi, Fenella.
Yeah, I'm always here. I'm the co-host.
I'm not, so it's nice to be here.
Hi, Fenella.
It's nice to have you here.
Hi, Robin.
Really nice. Hi.
So for people who might not know Fenella, could we get a little bit of an abridged biography?
Are you skipping the sections,
doing?
Tim? Tim, you forgot the sections,
No.
the structure. Oh, you could do a brief introduction. Fine, we'll break the structure.
Okay, hi, I'm Fenella. I conduct Wodonga Brass. Have been there for the last 5 years. Before that, I lived in Melbourne, played in bands, did my thing down there. Loved community banding. Loved it lots as a kid. Probably didn't love it for about 4 or 5 years in the middle. And then once I came back harder than ever. And it's biggest, best thing. Yeah, pretty pumped to be here because I think I love it as much as you guys, and that's a lot. So
That's a lot. Yeah. What's your instrument, Fenella, for people who don't know?
I mean, my instrument is trombone, but depending on how you've known me, if you have known me in the brass banding world, you might see me more as a tubist. Because I very strongly did both for a long time. But when I had to make a choice at uni, I did pick the trombone. It tends to be the one I come back to. But I do love the tuba. It's very hard. They're both great.
It's tough. They're both great, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, Fenella, do you have any reflections on the week just gone by? Any musical reflections?
Well, I mean, musical reflections. Oh, actually, I had a really fun time, like musically, last week. Because I was on a cruise ship, and you might think, well, what are you doing on a cruise ship? Well, I entered the Voice of the Ocean, which is like a singing contest on the boat.
Really?
So it was like karaoke to start with, and the audience votes for like the top 6 people, which I got picked in.
Little Mermaid?
No, I sang Beatles, bit of Let It Be.
Yeah.
And so I got through the finale, which meant I got to sing with the house band on the boat, on the main stage. And they had judges in the turning chairs and everything. It was it was pretty cool, actually. I mean, most people might not consider going to rehearsals a fun part of their holiday, but I did, to be honest. It was pretty cool.
That's so cool. I came second in a yodeling contest at the Hofbrau House. That's fun.
That's very impressive. Yeah.
In the past week?
No, that was like last year. Sorry. What have you done in the past week, Tim? Yeah. You're somewhere weird, aren't you? We're all on Zoom. So
yeah, I'm in Bateman's Bay because I'm getting ready to stream the Paralympic qualifiers for an equestrian competition tomorrow, if anyone's interested in equestrian stuff.
Yeah,
but musically, in the last week, we had a low-end sectional at the Footscray Arrowville City Band, and I got picked on for not being able to play my notes right and stuff, and it was a good time.
Brutal.
Yeah, it was.
Picked on.
Yeah.
Well, we had a storm. Did anyone else have the storm? In Victoria, there was a big storm, and I had no power for 24 hours, and I had to drive to band rehearsal, and there were no traffic lights on. That was a bit stressful.
Yeah, right. Well, you're right. We were at band at rehearsal when the storm hit, and as many of you are probably in band halls, so their structural integrity can be questionable at times. I have never really had to think about, as a conductor, what do I do if the roof comes off the band hall? But the other night I really did. There were somehow leaves getting inside the building and like falling down, and we were watching the power poles outside the window just shaking and going, I think we should be right. Well, hopefully we'll be right.
You put your risk management plan right into action and just like...
absolutely.
Like straight away,
everybody grab a wall.
Oh, yeah.
Grab a wall and hold on. That's, that's the rules.
Is that to save the band room or the players?
Mainly the band hall. So we are moving, so we only need it for a few more months and then it can go.
We should have a competition who's got the worst band hall. Burundara has had to move out of 2 condemned buildings so far. I wonder how many condemned buildings. Footscray you used to be able to see through the floor, like the floorboards.
Yeah.
And see like
we had a white ant problem. We had a white ant problem, but it was down the kitchen, so we just I think we got it treated and we just don't go down there much anymore.
Kitchen, written off.
Stick to the brick end, it's fine.
Well, it's wonderful that the community of Wodongas pulled together to get you all a new band hall.
Yeah.
Maybe we should come visit sometime, Robin.
Yeah.
You should definitely.
Inspect the new band hall.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's super fun.
Yeah, it'll be good.
What else? There's been a lot of band admin. If you're going to nationals, it's all due this Friday. So spend all
It's a
this
good reminder
time
for the stuff that I've got to finish before tomorrow. Thanks, Robin.
doing the plans. Shout out to secretaries. Holy moly, there's so many forms. You'd think it'd be one form. I'm coming. We're just going to rock up with a band. But no, there's like so many little bits and pieces that have to get handed in.
There is quite a lot of forms. It's my first nationals as a musical director. And I help my secretary with all the forms because I figure that if I'm the one that has to find all the information, I shouldn't just make him fill it all out. He would for me, but I do help him with that. And I must admit, there is a lot of forms.
You have to write the number?
That would only take me a second. I know, it's a lot of things you got to know. Yeah, we'll get there. I believe it's your first nationals as a...
It is my first nationals as the conductor, so
exciting.
There you go.
Exciting.
Well, it was Jared, our last week's guest, first nationals conducting too. We better have a conductor on that it's not their first nationals.
Has done it before? No, it's, exclusive little club of, first-time conductors at nationals.
Oh, we better have a drink. We'll meet up. First time.
I think so, definitely.
Nationals conducting cherry popping night.
Yeah,
Yay.
Definitely. Yes. Count me in. Sorry, Tim, you're not invited.
I've never conducted. I wouldn't be any good at it. No one would follow me anyway. So I'll just
we follow your leadership in other ways, like leading us into our love of branding through your amazing streaming and podcast.
Everyone loves bands to start with, and I just put them on the tee. It was like, piece of cake.
Yay.
Piece of cake.
What else has happened? We told people about our podcast. Tim put a thing on Facebook, and we've had 200 people download. Well, that's the 2 episodes combined. So it might have been 100 people. But I mean, if they listen to both episodes, that's nice.
I think it could have been 199 people listened to the first episode, then just one person came back.
It broke it down by the 2. So thank you if you've listened, but you should also give us 5 stars and also subscribe. We had 15 people from New Zealand listen. If you're listening from New Zealand, that's really exciting.
Hey, Fenella, have you been to New Zealand with a band before?
Not with a band. I've been to New Zealand. I went there just last year, actually, for a holiday. But no, I haven't been with a band, not to New Zealand. I'll have to add that.
New Zealand Nationals is just one of the most magical, wonderfully organised, beautiful things. A big difference between a New Zealand Nationals and Australian Nationals is in New Zealand there's a person, and that person's name is Helen, and she's been the boss of Nationals for quite a while. All the ones that I've streamed, I've always gone to Helen if I've got a question.
Yeah, right.
So she knows all the tricks and how to make it all happen. I feel like in Australia sometimes it's the organising committee lasted at 7 years ago, the last time Nationals came around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a little bit.
Well, if any Australian bands heading to New Zealand, need a random trombone player or E-flat tuba player, give me a call. Always
there are. I've seen that there's a bunch of bands going across to New Zealand Nationals from Australia. So Fenella, she's available. And
I'm here. Take
your sectionals. She conducts.
I don't get to play enough these days. So, pretty much any opportunity, I'm keen to be there.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to that. We've finished our week gone by reflection, and let's talk about Fenella and Fenella's story. And what she does.
Fenella story.
Yeah, the Fenella story. Yeah.
Fenella story. Started many, many years ago. No, really, I was quite young when I started playing. I was in grade 3. And at the time I started on the trombone. And when I was in grade 3, I couldn't even reach 6th position on the trombone. If you're not a trombone player, it's not great. I was missing 2 of the 7. It's not a great hit rate. But I had this awesome little slide extension that meant I could just reach 6th. And by the time I think I was in grade 6, I could reach 7th position. But who's playing B naturals before then anyway? So tuba I took up in grade 5. I did both. Choice. I played in Box Hill Band and White Horse Brass back when it was a junior band. Yes, I played with Tim a number of times in Box Hill.
Yeah, Box Hill.
So I did White Horse Brass as a junior band back in the day and played in a lot of the big bands in that organisation as well, because at that stage they had 3 brass bands and 3 big bands. Studied music in Melbourne. Then after that, I moved to Bright and I now live in country Victoria, far away from many things, but I do live in a pretty spectacular part of the world. I'm lucky that the family I married into also loves brass bands.
When did you find that out? Was that a surprise when you found out? I like bands too.
No, of course, like many of us, I met my husband through brass bands. Actually, at the Bright Chalet, I came up here for a youth band camp, and we met through that. So we met through State Youth Brass Band, and then the Bright Chalet has a few bands that would have come up here before, and the summer music intensive that Skunkworks run happens up here.
Yes.
The low brass, the tuba one that I had just recently was here as well. So we do the Alpine Brass Festival, which we hold up here as well. So we have, we like brass bands. And I've played in Wodonga a bit, but since becoming the conductor, I tend to go more regularly and really enjoy it. I found that I quite love standing up there in front of my awesome bunch of people.
Yeah. It's a bit, how long does that take you to drive from Bright to?
It takes me an hour and 15 minutes to get to rehearsal, which is not so bad, but it also takes me an hour and 15 minutes to get back, which is much later at night. And I also have to pick up my 15-month-old from the babysitter after rehearsal and then get her home. So we tend to get home at about 11 o'clock at night with our child. Luckily, she then goes to bed.
Which night is rehearsal night?
Tuesday night. We used to be a Wednesday night band pre-COVID. Then during COVID, we had fun situations on the border where we couldn't legally rehearse in Wodonga, but we could legally rehearse in Albury. So for that reason, we then started rehearsing in the Albury City Band, who's a concert band. We started rehearsing in their hall, but they rehearsed on a Wednesday as well. So we moved to Tuesdays. And then what I saw was a couple of members of my band going, oh, maybe we'll go to Albury Band as well. So when we kind of came back to our own band room, I voted or put to the committee that we kept the night as Tuesday night, so that if we've got people in the bands who want to be able to play in both the concert band and the brass band in our area, they can, because there's not that many, community bands on the border. And so we moved to Tuesday night so that we can have a better relationship with Albury Band.
Great. How's the demographic in your band? Do you have a lot of youngsters, more experienced players? What's the vibe?
It's fairly diverse, and I think that's part of being regional. We don't, there's no choice, and I say that in a very nice way, but if you want to be in a brass band and you live in the Albury Wodonga area, you're stuck with me. It's like you don't really have a choice. So it means that we've got a few kids that are like high school age, and then we've got all the way up to, our members who are in their 80s.
How's recruiting go for you?
How's recruiting? Well, once again, it can be tough because we don't have a large pool of people to recruit from. And a lot of the good musicians who, when they finish school, they then want to go on to study, and you can't do that on the border. So then they move to Melbourne, which is fantastic because they join bands down in Melbourne. But it does mean that keeping junior players who are really good players is pretty hard to do. But we are lucky in the fact that people often retire to the border region or move there maybe later in their jobs. Numbers are great. We've got a full band. And the other good thing I've seen over the last probably, 2 years is getting players back who might have stopped playing, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that since the band started competing again, have actually come back because they actually quite like the hard work that kind of goes in before a competition and having that focus. Yeah. So it's brought a couple of those players who did a lot in their youth who maybe prioritized other things when they've seen the band starting to thrive and enjoy going to competitions and putting on great performances. They've come back. They want to be part of it again.
That's surely that's because of your dedication, I'm sure. You got to give yourself some credit for, that band being so strong.
The way I genuinely see it is that I'm lucky. And there's many of us as conductors who are lucky because, brass bands are full of fantastic people that when you get a room full of people who go, yeah, we're going to come with you, you can make magic. Anybody can make magic if you've got a room full of great people.
It's that commitment, isn't it? If everyone's got that shared goal, then it's like, magic happens.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at, Robin? What are you laughing about?
Just band, and I love the idea you could I feel like if I moved to a town, you take your music with you, and we've had people come from interstate, or a girl came from England, and she's once she found her band, it's like church. People say they do this with church. You move to a different place and you join the church, and then you've got your community,
Yes.
And that's what band is.
We really see that in places like Albury Wodonga because they can't, commute back to their last band. So they, send their little message or they rock up to rehearsal and they go, hey, I've just moved to the area. And I go, great, let's find you a chair. And my rule, especially considering we are the only band on the border, I don't care if I've got 60 people in that room. I will keep finding chairs if I have to. If people want to be part of our band,
love it.
I want them to be in our band.
Break into 2 bands.
If we had to.
You could do a training band and a non-competing band.
We've definitely got plans in the work to get some more kind of youth players and get some of those school kids involved. So
nice.
Probably I think after nationals we're hoping to kick into it. It's the band's first nationals in quite a long time.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
When was the last nationals?
So the last nationals Wodonga Brass went to was in 1990.
Wow,
Yes.
you didn't even do the
And
ones in
where was
Melbourne.
No, so 34
Yeah.
years ago was the last time Wodonga went to a nationals.
Right. And then you came to States last year.
Yeah, so
Which
we've done States
Yeah.
the last 2 years. So
Last 2
yeah.
years. Okay.
So we've done a couple of years of competing. The first year we were in D grade because that's what the band had been put down to a little while ago. And then as of last year, was a May-ish last year, we were up into C grade. So we got put up, which is, exciting.
Oh, I was going to mention when you were talking about music in the border region, I thought of border music.
Yes,
camp.
another fantastic thing we
Big
have.
deal.
Yes.
It's a really big thing going
so
on in the area.
cold.
Yeah. You can wear jackets.
I went
It's
last time,
fine.
so
But no,
cold.
Border Music Camp is fantastic. For those of you who haven't heard of it, it's like a week-long camp in the winter school holidays. It's held at Scott School, but it's run by independent group Border Music Camp. And they have a number of concert bands and orchestras that do a kind of camp for the week. And it's got options of kind of doing short day or live-in students and boarding on campus. And it's open to students from everywhere, but it's a great opportunity for a lot of kids on the border to learn off tutors who are coming from other major cities as well. And I know I encourage as many of our members to go. We have, and it's not just for kids either, it's for adults as well. So we have members of our band who are both, at school age and also adults who take the week off and go and just see how much they can learn in a week, which is pretty awesome.
Love it. Love the border regional music. Final question.
Yeah.
There are a couple of pipe bands around Albury.
Yeah, there are. There is a fantastic
Do you have
one
much
at
to do with
Scott's.
them?
We actually did quite a lot with
Yes.
them last year.
Okay, because the one at Scott's, I've seen them, I've streamed them in a couple of different
They are
competitions. and it's like-
fantastic.
I'm like, oh, wow.
They are.
Yeah.
And, I know those who are maybe not a fan of pipes, you might go, oh, pipes and band, how are we going to make that work? Well, for starters, work with a great pipe band because that's what Scots are. They are fantastic. For those who aren't
Which
aware
they
of...
play Highland Cathedral.
Yeah, we definitely did do Highland Cathedral. But for those who aren't aware, Scott School they've represented Australia at national, international pipe championships, the World Pipe Championships.
Yep.
First Australian school
They
to
have,
win
yes.
a World Championship title.
Yes.
They've gone to the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo multiple times. They are absolutely brilliant. And they actually went and did all this last year. And they got in contact with us and said, hey, we're running our fundraising concert. Is there any chance you guys would be involved to maybe, do a couple of numbers in the middle of the set? And I said, yeah, also, and he's like, oh, do you want to do some stuff together? I said, absolutely, but let's make sure we do it well. So, because I know it can be very easy to do it badly. So I actually worked with them, had to learn how pipes work because I had no idea how they pitch, where they can, what they can play or anything like that beforehand. So I had to dive into the internet. And one of my favorite things was I remember just Googling, how to arrange for pipe bands. And no joke, this first thing came up with someone on a message board just saying, don't bother. And I said, all right, this is going to be fun. But we did that. We did a couple of, your classics, your Highland Cathedral, Amazing Grace. And then we also did Sweet Caroline with a singer as well, which was a bit of fun.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool. And then they came and did some numbers at our major fundraising concert. That's a bit of a thanks for helping them out. So yeah, it's really cool working with them as well.
The more you say, the more I just think that Albury Wodonga region is just like buzzing with music making.
It's actually pretty amazing. All the schools do a lot of musical theatre. There's, the brass band, the concert band, the pipe band, there's choirs, there's the Murray Con. There's a lot going on and people want to enjoy it and be part of it. So we're really proud to be part of that community on the border.
I think we can finish there. That's fine. End of podcast.
No, I have to ask.
Love it. Sorry.
The funny questions.
Question time.
Question time.
Hit me up.
All right, here we go. If you were to take an inventory of your house, what's the kind of stolen from the band room equipment that you might be guilty of having?
I mean,
Your house.
right now,
Yeah.
right now, I'm sure it would be music that's supposed to be in the library because as a conductor, you kind of just grab stuff and walk out and then forget about it. But I did in the past have a tuba that didn't belong to me for about, I reckon, 10 to 15 years. It sat in my parents' houses after I moved to Bright. Box Hill Band, how you going? It lived in my parents' house for quite a while. It was E-flat. E-flat.
Was it one of the little old Imperials with the small bells and the
Was it a
four-
No, it was a Yamaha. It was a Yamaha.
Oh,
It was the Yamaha. Oh, it was a good.
It was all right tuba actually. But it's sat
Hello,
there.
John Kelly.
Yeah, it's back. I promise it's back. It sat there, I think, with my Box Hill jacket in my parents' house after I moved out. And then when they moved house, my mum said, you need to take this tuba back. And I went, okay. So I dropped the tuba and the jacket back with a little, sorry, I kept that for much longer than I should have.
Maybe they were hoping you'd come back. It's like a welcome.
Maybe.
Welcome back anytime.
You never
Keep
know.
the tuba.
You never know. You know. I always have a place in my heart for Box Hill Band, you know.
And Box Hill doing so well and off to nationals and
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
maybe win.
Yeah. No, it is great. I always, you know, it's great to see. It's one of the things I love about going to contests is seeing all those people that, you know, so it's like no time has passed, even if it's been forever. So it's really awesome.
All right. This one's an odd one. What do you consider to be a pedal note?
I mean, my real answer would be at that point where I stop practicing because I'm naughty and I don't practice my pedal notes enough. But I'd say an octave below where your range normally stops.
So I thought that as well, but then I had a loyal listener get in touch with me over the past week. Pedal notes apparently are the pedal notes on the organ. So if you're playing a big pipe organ in the olden days, you'd play the low notes and they'd be like the drones that you'd play with your foot on a pedal. So the pedal note apparently in classical literature is from there. That's a pedal note
right.
when you play from a
Low.
pedal.
So,
But
yeah.
I think the pedal note's going to be high as well, I think.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like with your foot. So knowledge drop.
There you go.
Thanks,
Yeah,
loyal
right.
listener.
Thank you, loyal listener, and Jared McCunny for supplying that question.
What a question, Jared. Brilliant.
But now that we've like absolutely answered that question, we'll never ask it again. So
I like you stolen from the band room question. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good question.
we can keep that. Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing someone's brought to a rehearsal?
Oh, I don't know. Do people bring weird things to rehearsals?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe that's a city thing.
Like a weird dinner. Someone like put down their instruments eating like, I don't know, dumplings or something.
People eat in your rehearsals.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you doing? Or
Welcome
like
to Harmony.
a dog.
This is
Like you'll look over and there's a dog under their chair and you're like, why is there a dog
we
there?
have had a dog in the band room, which was fine. It was adorable. It was probably distracting for me. But I mean, there's also the fact that sometimes I bring my child to the band room. That can be pretty distracting, mainly because she's just an absolute diva and likes to be the center of attention.
Fenella.
Yes.
What's your opinion on Year of the Dragon?
I quite like it. I think it's a great piece. Slightly.
Favorite movement?
Recently, I would say second, and I have a reason for this.
Have you ever played the trombone solo on the second movement? So,
No, I haven't. I've only played second trombone for it.
Ah.
But recently, the reason it became my favorite movement recently is because when my little girl was smaller last year and I was having to really kind of rock her to get her down for naps, it would take, you know, approximately 7 to 8 minutes of rocking. And I went through probably a week or two where I just was listening to Year of the Dragon from the start as I rocked her. And it meant that when I got to the second movement, I knew we were getting close to her being asleep enough to put her down. It was pretty regular timing and a great time to listen to brass band music for those with young children. You can rock your child, got your headphones on.
To like the da-da-da-da-da.
Question.
Yeah.
But like if you went too far, like if you got to the end of the second movement, you have the big bass drum at the start of the third movement, wouldn't just
Well, I have
wake
my
up
headphones on.
Isn't third movement
I'm not that idiotic as scary.
Oh, you're not playing that to her.
No.
Oh, that's an opportunity to like indoctrinate her. We had to edit out a lot of our Year of the Dragon discussion from our first interview. We talked about it for way too long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but the good thing is like at the end of the podcast, we don't have any sound effects, but the three of us, we'll have to sing part of Year of the Dragon.
Yeah,
as
right.
our outro.
Oh, what a beautiful sound.
We
effect
will
that'll be.
eventually get an outro. I don't know. Oh, Fenella, do you practice main instruments?
If you ask me that question this week, the answer is yes. If you asked me that question 2 weeks ago, the answer would be no. But I have recently been asked to play at nationals, so I will be getting the trombone out with Geelong West.
Who are you playing with?
I'll be playing with Geelong West.
Yes.
Yeah,
love them.
Yeah. So for that reason, I hope you're listening, Jeff. I have been practicing, and will continue to practice. And I'll see you in a few weeks at rehearsal, and hopefully I'll be nailing my part by then.
What are you doing? You're doing long tones? You're doing, yeah.
Well, I do.
Well,
I
listeners, you can't see, but Fenella's, she's currently just, going for it.
My trombone is in my hand. Yeah, sure. No, I mean,
yeah.
I do some long tones. I do lots of lip slurs and, being a trombone player, we, live by them. I do all that stuff because otherwise, if I don't do them first, I then try and play too fast and too high and it sounds like rubbish. So a good warm up is always a good place to start. And it's also one of the things, sometimes you pick up your instrument and you go, great, everything's feeling brilliant today and 10 minutes and I'll be good to go. And then there are other days where you pick it up and go, well, this is going to be a full half an hour of warm up before I need anybody to hear this. So it's, I think it's just one of those things. Robin, you seemed quite concerned by that, but I swear I'm not the only one it happens to. You have good days and bad days.
No. Doing half an hour of practice is the part that concerns me about that. Oh, God. That seems excessive.
That was half an hour warm up, but if I'm playing a lot, you generally tend to pick it up and be okay unless you've had a really big day the day before. And then if I was playing the tuba, it requires zero warm up at all. And you just pick it up and
isn't it great? It's just always
ready
there.
to go.
You pick it up, you give it a hug.
Play for like
and it's
14 hours and someone's like in the cornet section is like, I can't feel my lips anymore. And you're like, wait, are we done already? That's how I always felt about the tuba.
I reckon trombones practice the most, is it? Or trumpets? Trombones practice a lot.
Yeah, I think it's just that, I mean this, the nice way. I think it attracts a nerdy kind of person. And I think they,
I was going to say euphoniums.
I mean, yeah, euphoniums, I think, attract people who like to listen to themselves. No offense, euphoniums. It's not a bad thing.
I think so.
I don't consider that a bad thing because it's a beautiful instrument to listen to.
I don't want to listen to myself play long notes.
No. I think the other thing is the slides are hard to move without sounding like a clown. You kind of have to do, oh, really? Oh, I've been doing it wrong all these years. I think it's really easy, especially in brass bands where everyone else is pressing down their valves. You can't do that. And then people still expect you to sound just as crisp as a cornet or, whatever. So that does take a little bit of practice.
All right. We might do one more question because we added some, so we'll have to take some away. I might take the chair question away because that was like a bit of a fizzle one, wasn't it?
I think it's a really good question. It's my favourite.
No, really? No. Or the one about facial hair, jackets. Fenella likes a jacket. Everyone's in my band who's listening, they're like, I heard you talk about jackets, Robin. I know that Tim likes jackets.
Really?
Do you like a band jacket?
I like a band jacket, but I mean, they can be hard to get and very expensive. So we have a jacket, but it's not a jacket like a traditional band jacket. We have like a soft shell jacket. And then on stage, we're a vest band. We do wear our vests and ties on stage. Yeah.
Oh, love a vest. That's great.
I do like a vest. I was going to say, do you feel jealous of your pipe bands? Do they have that like thing on there?
Yeah, they have some good uniform in those pipe bands. They look smart.
It's true.
Love them. What's it called?
A sporran.
Sporran, yeah. I was going to call it a scroggin, but it's not a scroggin. Sporran. You know all the words. That's very exciting. All right, I'll ask this last one. Okay, if someone has come to your rehearsal and they never came back, what do you think that reason would be? Jared's was that they hated the Western Brass's jackets.
Oh, how could you hate that mustard yellow?
There's a lot of love for that colour.
I mean, if I'm being silly, I'd just say it's because of my ridiculous personality during rehearsals. But I mean, to be honest, the most common reason I actually see, a serious answer, is that we get a lot of people who come to the area for work for a week who then just pop into their local brass band, which if you're ever out there in our direction, always welcome at Wodonga Band Hall, even if it's just to keep your lip in on your week's holiday or away from work.
That's so fun. I've never thought of that, to like be traveling in a town and just like pop into the.
We do that. We see it a number of times a year. It's, people who just pop in, which is always great because you meet someone who's come from another band. They talk about their band. They get to see what we're doing, have a play, and then you wish them well. And you're always kind of welcome in their areas when you go on holidays as well.
They bring an instrument with them.
Yeah, sometimes, and sometimes they'll contact us and go, "Hey, I've got a mouthpiece. Do you have a cornet?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll grab something out of the cupboard." Yeah, come along.
Cool. Where are you, Tim? You should be at rehearsal with Bateman's Bay.
Well, I was going to say, I
Oh.
should be probably visiting Canberra City Brass. Or
Yeah.
Brass band tourism. We could start that as a thing.
Well, I think
it's a thing.
Have a
I
list of like.
was going to say, Fenella, if you're free in July, and Robin as well,
Yeah.
would you both like to come to the New Zealand Nationals?
I mean, yeah.
It's cold.
I'd say yes.
Come. You should
Yes,
definitely
but
come. It's
Fenella
so
and I both
wonderful.
have
There's so many nice
children.
people.
Yeah, but I
you forget
have
about
one.
the baby.
I only have one, not three. So it's a little
Okay,
bit
Fenella, let's
easier
talk.
for me.
Let's talk.
Are you bringing your baby to nationals?
Oh, absolutely. I'm also bringing my mother
Oh,
to come
okay.
watch my baby at nationals.
Oh, yeah.
But I am bringing my baby to nationals. If you see her, she'll be the one waving at you and probably dancing in the middle of any space with music in it, because that's what
Perfect.
she does.
That's great. We'll try and get an interview in as well.
Yeah. She'll probably have some very important things to say. I assume she has some very strong opinions on brass bands. Mainly that she loves them, to be honest. It's,
Obviously.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, we're up to current events. What's going on in the next week?
I'm going to Indonesia next week.
Oh, that's
I've got to
exciting.
do a conference on broadcasting.
Right.
there you go.
There you go. So, next week's podcast, I'll be on a different time zone. There you go.
Oh, very exciting.
Hey.
How
But
exotic.
I'm going to be at rehearsal on Monday night because I've been practicing, and I brought my mouthpiece with me when I came up here so I can do some buzzing.
That's what all
Hello,
conductors
Footscray
like
Variable
to
City
hear,
Band.
that you take your mouthpiece with you
Hello,
when you
Louisa.
go away for those pre-nationals
Exactly.
holidays.
I even bought myself one of those plastic mouthpieces so we go in my carry-on baggage.
Beautiful.
Because once I tried to take a tuba mouthpiece as carry-on,
Yeah.
and I think I was in like Mildura Airport. I don't know why I was there, and there was no one else in the airport, and my backpack went through, and they opened up and it was like, "What is this? You cannot take this on." And I was like, "Are you serious?" So I had to go back and put that backpack as checked baggage with just a mouthpiece in it.
I've had mouthpieces. I'm sure I've had mouthpieces go through the scanner on the X-ray, and because you can really see it
At
through the
Mildura
back.
Airport, though?
Obviously,
At Mildura?
Mildura's not having a bar of it. Dangerous.
Oh,
No.
yeah, that is a bit crazy. All right, what's on for you for the week, Fenella? Anything fun?
Well, actually, we've got a rehearsal weekend this weekend.
Mm.
So we're actually bringing the band to Bright. We're kind of,
Right, yeah, I was going to say.
opening up our
More convenient
hotel.
for you.
Well, I mean, sometimes we have Wodonga, but we're having a quiet weekend at the hotel. So we've kind of, opened it up, and so people can come and stay and have a fun weekend away. So we're doing that on the weekend, and then we're kind of into 2 nights a week. Not really. It's only me that really has to do them, because we do rehearsal on the Tuesday and then sectionals on the Thursday. So for some people, they're still only on 1, but I've started my 2 a week, but that's all right. It'll be fun. I like it too. Band 2 nights a week. Who wouldn't want to do it? Once upon a time, I would have told you I was mad if I wanted to do that. But these days I go, is 2 nights enough? Let's do more band. 3 nights, 3
a
nights.
week.
My band, if they're listening to this, will be going 2 nights is plenty. Thank you. We'll see you on the weekend as well. I think that's enough.
All right. Okay.
So Robin,
Yeah.
what's on for you this
Yeah,
week?
Robin, what are you up
Nothing.
to?
What am I doing?
Robin, what are you doing? What are you doing this week, Robin?
I probably should have done. I was like, Ben, last year, do you want to do like some extra rehearsals on the lead up to nationals? They're like, nah, we'll just stick with our Tuesdays and we'll just make them really efficient rehearsals. I'm like, okay. So we're only doing 1 weekend. It's like the 2 weeks before, but no.
One of the things that for my band that they really wanted more of was sectionals, because it gave them a chance to work with their section leaders and focus on that stuff that you don't necessarily have time for in a band rehearsal. So it's one thing I've made some more time for as we prepare for competitions now, just so when everyone gets on stage, they can actually feel comfortable with the performance they're going to get to give. Because I think that's really important when you've got a band who hasn't competed a lot, that
I think
they
it's
need
so
to feel
important. It's so important.
good on
Yeah,
stage.
absolutely. And I get really annoyed sometimes. I'm at a competition and people get grumpy if there's a changeover that takes too long or whatever. And I'm like, no. People have been rehearsing for literally months for this. Don't rush them.
No.
Let's give everyone a chance to play their best and enjoy themselves.
Absolutely.
And have a good experience.
It's really easy.
You don't need to drag things out, but just everyone should have enough time to feel comfortable.
But also, if you've grown up on the competition stage, if you've done this, 20 times, 50 times, you're going to be a lot more comfortable. I've got, adult members of my band who played in their first competition 2 years ago. So imagine as a 40-year-old, you've never been in that situation before. Like as adults, anytime we're in a new situation, it's more terrifying than it is when we're kids. As kids, we're a lot braver. So the fact that they're still willing to get up there and do that, for me, and I know for the contest, supervisors do a great job. It's just about making sure people are comfortable so that they can really enjoy the experience rather than seeing competitions as a scary thing, because they don't have to be. Yes, the adjudicator's there to give feedback. Yes, there are bands who are at the top of their grades who are really working for those wins, and that is brilliant. But not every band is going to win, and not every band is at the top of their grade at any given point. And you still need to go and be part of our community, because that's what makes a competition great, is having the fact that there is a large grade. Yeah.
Right. And as someone who like listens to way more band competitions than you should,
Yeah.
like I just really want to hear good stuff.
Yeah.
That's all I want to like and if there's, 10 test pieces back to back to back to back to back, I'm sitting there listening to all of them. I just want to enjoy them.
Yes.
So if the band on stage has a bit of time to prepare and they feel good and they play their best, that's great. And you can hear it when you listen. And then you can also, unfortunately, hear it when bands aren't quite at their best.
Yeah.
But they could have done better. And that is that's disappointing.
Yes,
It's like, you just want to enjoy it as someone in the audience listening.
Yeah.
It's like,
a competition
give me your
is
best, please.
still a
Please give me your
performance.
best.
I remind my band this all
Absolutely.
the time that yes, there's one person in that, in that room or, 3 people, depending on what competition you're at, that is there to judge you. But there's another, could be 100 people in that hall that are just there to listen to a great performance. It is a great experience to share music with people. And that doesn't matter if you're on a competition stage, on a concert stage, walking down the street, playing in a fair for your local town. It is still sharing the amazing thing that is music and that we get to do.
How good is band?
Yeah. The best.
Yes.
Brass bands are wicked. So are concert bands.
Concert bands are
if you're
also-
listening to this and you're thinking, what about the concert bands? We're going to get some concert band people on soon, aren't we, Tim?
Concert bands.
Yes,
Concert bands are great.
I'm in touch with Unley Concert Band.
Yeah.
We're coming for you. I think next week. I think we've got some
Awesome.
sessions
As I said earlier, I've
lined up
done a
from
bit with
South
Albury
Australia.
City Band. It's concert band up there.
We're all wicked.
Even those pipe bands.
Even the pipe
those
bands. Yes,
like-
we get in
it's
with them as
wow.
well.
Brass bands. Concert
Exactly.
bands, pipe bands, recorder bands. I don't know what other bands there are. We love
I
all
don't
the
know if
bands.
there's many of those up in the northeast.
Oh,
Okay.
there is.
There is?
Sorry. There's a recorder. No, it's a flute ensemble. I think that's up near Albury. And I was working with a computer programmer
Yeah, right.
who was from Albury, and he came down to do some work with me. He said, "Oh, you do music stuff? Oh, that's cool." He's an adult learner of the flute. Yeah, so there's definitely a woodwind flute recorder ensemble
Ensemble
on the
up there.
go
Yeah.
somewhere. There you go. Do we have to sing an outro, Robin?
No, well, we don't have to.
We don't have
Should
to.
we sing something
You
different?
meant to say yes. You meant to say yes
What?
and like suggest something fun to sing.
Oh, should we do a bagpipes one? No?
Like, are you so-
Bagpipes?
Let's go for it.
What's the bagpipe song that we all know? Like, come
I
on.
don't know. You the ones who know more about bagpipes.
This is a true story, which I don't know
it's
the bagpipes
bobbins.
out there might find interesting. I was just recently on my tour, my cruise, and I got off and there was a single piper and a drummer playing outside a tiny little church up north Queensland. So of course I stopped, got to put money in for the buskers. And he said, "Oh, let me play something, a request. What have you got?" And I said, "Oh, how about Highland Cathedral?" And he turned around and said, "Oh, sorry, I can't play that one." And I went, "Okay." So I went, Amazing
How
Grace.
about Amazing Grace?
And he's like, "Yeah, I got that one." I was like,
Amazing
"Brilliant.
Grace.
Good job, mate. I'll take that one, thanks."
Yeah. All right. That's my only idea. Or we could just say, all right, we have to sing Amazing Grace then, but pretend we're bagpipes in Mixolydian.
My
Ready?
7 is flat.
Ready, set, go. Is someone the drone? Yeah. Okay,
Cut.
and then we say
Cut.
Bye,
bye.
everybody.
Cut.
Thanks, Fenella.